And so, how did you get the knife? Like, where'd the knife come from? Did you bring it with you from here?
No.
Okay. Did you buy it somewhere?
She bought it for me.
Welcome to Munchausen Monday with Jessica Della Davies.
Today is Munchausen Monday, and we're going to be discussing the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Dee Dee Blanchard, and Nick Godejohn. This is a story about greed, betrayal, deceit, crime, treachery, and lust. It's one of the worst cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy in the history of the world. And it's one of the most bizarre cases I have ever covered in my life. So let's discuss this case, and it will have a lot of controversy around it. So feel free to debate your opinion in the comments section below. And everything I'm sharing with you today is my opinion, and opinions are not facts, so please don't send any negativity to anyone. This is the finale of our 3-part Munchausen Monday Gypsy Rose Blanchard series. If you haven't seen Gypsy Rose Blanchard Part 1 and Part 2, you will want to see those next because I do a deep dive into this case. Please subscribe, like, and let's get into it. After law enforcement discovered Gypsy Rose and Nick Godejohn at Nick's parents' house in Wisconsin, they brought the pair in to interrogate them. They separated them, and Gypsy Rose initially denied everything. In fact, Gypsy Rose pretended to be surprised that Dede had even passed away.
I honestly didn't do anything to my mama.
Who did?
I don't know.
Finally, she did come clean about her actions, and I'm going to talk about their jail sentences in a minute because I think they're somewhat controversial, so please stay with me. In contrast, Nick Godejohn confessed everything.
It makes sense. More holes, faster they go away, and the faster they are at peace.
Okay. So the more holes you put into the body?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm understanding? Okay. Okay. So that's why you chose to stab her.
Yes.
Okay. And
Law enforcement learned that Gypsy Rose had asked Nick to do away with her mother, Dede. And Nick's mom was shocked that this had happened because they thought Gypsy Rose was coming from a homeless shelter after her mom had kicked her out. Due to Nick having autism and a lower IQ, it was easy for law enforcement to manipulate him into a confession, in my opinion. Nick's mom said that he functioned at the level of a 14 or 15-year-old. There are multiple levels of autism spectrum disorder, and one of my friend's son had autism, so I have a little bit of amateur experience with this disorder. The autistic disorder, which is often called classic autism, is a more severe form, while Asperger's syndrome, which usually has milder symptoms, is not as devastating as autistic disorder. So autism can cause a person to obsess on one idea or one thing to the point where they are not thinking clearly. And Nick's mom explains this to the police interrogator about focusing on one thing and one thing only. And in light of Nick's diagnosis, should he have been offered a lawyer during the interrogation to ensure that his rights were protected due to his status of being on the autism spectrum, in your opinion? So Gypsy Rose definitely organized this. She invited Nick to their home to do away with Dede. She got the knife. She let Nick into the house. She provided him with the gloves. And then Gypsy Rose went in the bathroom so she wouldn't have to hear Dede begging for her to help her while Nick did her in. Gypsy Rose ultimately pled guilty and was sentenced to 10 years in jail. But due to the extenuating circumstances of having a Munchausen's by proxy mother who gave her medicine she didn't need, often with terrible side effects like the Dilantin that caused her teeth to fall out, a mother who had a feeding tube inserted into Gypsy Rose so she could control her food and medication intake, a mother who isolated Gypsy Rose from potential friends and loved ones and told her she had cancer, so that she needed to shave Gypsy Rose's head because her hair was going to fall out anyway. Gypsy Rose was in a severely isolated and almost cult-like situation due to how Dede kept her away from everyone else, and Gypsy may not have felt she had any other way out. And Dede was reportedly telling Gypsy Rose this, along with giving her medicine to control Gypsy Rose. Many people feel Gypsy Rose needed mental health care in a psychiatric facility rather than 10 years in prison. What do you think? So Gypsy Rose was held hostage by Dede and was educated only to a 3rd grade level. Gypsy Rose was actually 24 years old when this occurred, but Gypsy Rose, she told the police she was 19 years old, not because she wasn't telling the truth, because that's what Dede told her. Dede told her she was 19 years old. So everything Dede told Gypsy Rose about her life was a lie. Dede broke the sacred trust, the sacred bond between a mother and child. And Gypsy's entire life was basically a jail sentence. So did she need to be put in prison for more years after this? Do you think that a 10-year sentence was fair? I personally feel like this sentence was too harsh after everything Dede put her through. Gypsy Rose is still serving her 10-year sentence, but she'll be eligible for parole at the end of 2023. She reportedly got her GED while in prison, and she also got married this month to a teacher who prefers to remain private. Gypsy Rose wants to build a family, and I hope she gets some mental health care so she can have a successful marriage and be a good mom to her children. In contrast, Nick was sentenced in court in February of 2019. Gypsy Rose did speak at his trial and admitted that she had asked Nick to do this for her. Gypsy Rose, in my opinion, was very honest about her role in the situation. And Nick was convicted of first-degree murder and armed criminal action in late 2018, and he was sentenced to life in prison. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison for what he did to Dede, and 25 years for the armed criminal action charge. There are many people who believe that justice was not carried out in the Nick Godejohn case either, because of the fact that he was autistic, and because of the fact that he has a low IQ. Would Nick have committed this heinous act if Gypsy Rose had not asked them to? There's a great series on Hulu called The Act if you want to check it out. It's definitely worth watching. Please let me know what you think about the sentence of Gypsy Rose and Nick Godejohn in the comment section below. Did Dede deserve what happened to her? I'm sure you guys have some really interesting and great thoughts on this case, so please tell me what you think. Next week, we're going to be discussing the Dre McCrae and Vaughn McCrae case. Is this a case of Munchausen's by proxy? Hit the notification bell so you don't miss this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.